Okay, so you can see I have a cover sheet up on the board. I have a couple of images of the building exterior views, a front view and a rear view, and I have a site plan on my cover sheet. I think in the book it just talks about putting a front rendering of your building on the cover sheet and an index, right? Okay, so let's just talk about this a little bit. When you bring these images in, if you want to modify the size of those, you would just simply right-click over that and activate the view, and now you're dealing with that view, and then you could change the size of it by gripping it and enlarging it if you want to by those grips. Okay, in my case I don't want to do that, but that's how you would modify the size of a picture or a rendering. Okay, then in order to get out of that view, you just right click and go to deactivate the view, and now you're back to your sheet again. I'm going to undo so I don't change the size of that. Okay. Okay, so a couple things. Creating a new sheet, everybody knows how to create a new sheet. If you're going to create a new sheet, you would go down to where it says Sheets All, right click over that and create a new sheet. Pick the title block you want. If you pick one that's wrong, let's just say I pick this one and I say OK, it's going to create a new sheet for me, and if once it opened up I realize that I have the wrong title block, all I have to do is click on the title block and go over here under Properties and change it to the one I wanted. Okay, so you can do simple things like that. Again, I'm going to undo because I don't want to create. Oh, before I do that, it does throw it down here as a sheet number and name, and you can change the number and you can change the name and so forth, right? So you don't want it to be untitled, of course. So I'll just undo that for a second. Back to my original project. So I want to put an index on here. I have one on here. I'll just take this one and move that off for a second. Okay, so I want to create a new sheet index, and you know, I have a bunch of sheets over here, more than I'm going to put on this set of plans, so I'm going to want to not show all of those. So I'm going to go up to View, Schedules, the down arrow, and find Sheet List right there. And it's going to bring up this same Excel type sheet where we use the same sheet for creating the door schedule, the window schedule, and room schedule, right? Basically the same thing. And in this case, I want to bring over sheet name, oops, and the sheet number. Okay, and I will say OK. Brings it over here, and it brought in all those sheets, and in this case it put my name first and my number second because that's the order I put them in when I drug them over, right? So if they're in the wrong order, we have to make an adjustment there. So we could go back to Edit the Fields and click on Number and move it up and say OK, and now it's in the right order. Okay, pretty simple. Okay, but I don't want to see all of these sheets on here, so I'm going to click on this one. Okay, instead of clicking on the schedule itself, I have to go over here to sheet 1A, click on that, and under Properties, Appears in Schedule, I can uncheck that and apply, and it goes away. So if you want sheets not to show up in your schedule, you can go to the sheet itself, go to the properties and uncheck this appears in the schedule and apply, and it goes away. Okay. All right. I have some random numbering here. I have A1, A8, A3, A4, A5, A9. They're jumping around a little bit. So I need to get those in the correct order. So if I go to sorting, I have no sorting, so I'll change that to sort by sheet number and say OK. And now it should be yeah, I put sheet name by mistake. I meant sheet number. Okay. All right, now it's A1 through so on. Okay, the other thing is my, and I would want to get rid of more of these sheets than I have already, but you know the sequence then for getting rid of sheets would just be to click on the ones you don't want and have them not appear in the schedule. In my case, my cover sheet that I created is actually sheet with the site plan on it, which is C1. And on a typical set of plans, C1 sheets actually show up on the front of a project. You go through the civil type stuff, and then you go into the architectural, and then you go into structural. So I want to put that C1 sheet first. And because I put them in sequence, it's going to go A, B, C, and so forth. So it's going to put them in that sequence. I have to get that C number 1. So I actually have to add a parameter to the schedule. So I'm going to go to my fields, and here I have add parameter. So I'm going to click on add parameter. It's going to ask me for a name, and I'm going to say sheet order. Okay, that's the name of this parameter. It's a common parameter. It's not by length, it's by number. And that should be all I need, I think. So I'll say OK. So it created a sheet order and put it over here. And I'll say OK. So now I have this column that says sheet order. Now let's go back to sorting. And I'm going to sort by sheet order. And then I'm going to sort by sheet number. Since I don't have anything under sheet order, it's not going to address that yet. So I have to go back to my fields, I believe, and under sheet order. I think I can do it right here. Okay, so under sheet order, I have to put in some kind of sequencing, right? So I want my sheet C1 to be a 1, and I want all my sheet 2s to be sheet A's to be 2s. Okay, and you'll see what's happening. Right? They're moving down. We'll say that those are going to be 3s, huh? This one should have been a 4. Okay. So now I have my C1 first. I can sheet order I can hide that column because I don't really want that on there. It was just on there to do the sorting, right? So I can hide that column from view, and now I have the schedule the way I want it to be. The schedule can obviously be pulled out to get the names to show correctly. We can edit the schedule again by the same way we did the door and window schedules, where we can go to edit the field, edit the appearance. We could get rid of that row in between. We could put an outline on it, which is thick lines. We could have the headings all bolded. We could have the titles underlined if we wanted to with a thin line. Okay. Okay, it's not going to show up any different here, but if we go back to our cover sheet, okay, I'm going to bring it over here because it is comes in pretty narrow. I can drag it out. Okay, so in this case, let's just try to put it back on my sheet. Looks fine. If for whatever reason you're doing a project and this schedule gets to be too big and it won't fit on the sheet correctly, it's got this little break line in here. If you click on that break line, it'll put it into two separate columns or separate schedules side by side, which might work in some cases. Okay. In my case, I don't want to do that, so I'll just undo that, but you could do something like that. Okay, there's other things you can add to a sheet list. You could have quantity of sheets. You could add some other things. Anything that's in that those parameters that you can drag over, you could add different things to your list. Okay, so the main important thing that I wanted you to remember there was that sorting thing. If you want your cover sheet to be the first one and you need to move it on your schedule, you can do that by creating a parameter for that. On your schedule, if you went back to the schedule itself and went to edit the appearance, under text height, again, I could change the text height here to 1/4 inch if I wanted to. And I could make it italics if I wanted to. Say okay. Again, it's not going to change it here, but if you go back to your cover sheet, all of a sudden I need to make an adjustment here to get this to come out. And then, there we go. And now I can drag this one back. Okay, so you can do things like that. So we're going to talk about adding a background to your renderings. So in this case, I'll go to a different rendering. Or actually, I'll just go back to a 3D view of my building. I should go to a camera view of it, I guess. Let's go to camera view. There we go. Okay, we'll go to that one. Okay, if I want to render this one, I could go to my render command, and down here where in your case it probably told you to use color, right? In this case I've used an image. So if you don't have an image in here, you need to bring in a custom image and you need to go search for one. And in my case, I went and loaded some images from the internet. And if I go to here, okay, so I brought in some images from the internet. Okay, so here's an image that actually has buildings and everything in the background. So let's just say I'm going to use that image. I'll say okay, and let's do a real draft view to make it fast here, and let's see what I get. Okay, so in this case, I've actually put my house in a neighborhood. Got some trees, got some sky behind it, and so forth. And keep in mind that, look at the image in the background is actually a much higher resolution than the actual building that I put in because I did the low version, right? But you can actually put your house in a neighborhood. All you have to do is go to a Google search and type in sky images, and you'll get all kinds of pictures of sky. You can import those into your drawing and use those as a background.
Or you can go to the site that you're...
Or you can actually go to the Google Earth site and get a picture maybe from street level of the actual site sometimes. You know, so that's kind of nice to be able to do that.